Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to a Monday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Anytime you win a football game, it feels a lot better, trust me. We got JC here in just a second. Second portion of today's program. Again, we'll be joined by Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Get his thoughts on the game and looking forward to Kentucky. But first, let's head to the Titan Tomorrow hotline. And we're joined by JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Well, another big weekend, my man. Week 4 was a good one. And got to say, fun night at the Swamp, of course. We had a lot of fireworks. Tennessee put up a fight there for a little while, and I think that got Florida's attention. But really, I felt like when I was watching the game, QB, I never really felt like Tennessee was ever going to truly stop Florida at what they wanted to do. The Gators just seemed to really have it going with Davis and Pierce running the football. And Emory Jones, I think his best game as a Gator, he had 144 yards rushing. That's the third most by a quarterback in the FBS this season. I don't know if you knew that. And his passer rating was 135.9. So he was really a true dual threat in this game. And he was the first Florida quarterback, QB, to throw for 200 yards and run for 100 since
Tammy
in 2009. So, I can feel like this kid is really gaining confidence. I think he's going to need that with the next 2 out of 3 games on the road. And I certainly think Florida's in a good position.
Yeah, I thought we played well. It's amazing. It's amazing to me. What I usually do, JC, is usually when I wake up Sunday morning, you're exhausted from the games all day Saturday. Right. So I look at Twitter. That's the one time I usually look at Twitter a lot. And it's like, these some of the comments that are made, this team regressed from the Alabama game, but, they have no chance. Blah, blah. I mean, look, every game is different. Now, here's the thing. Have you ever seen a football team play okay week 1? Play a little bit better week 2, and get better every game? It doesn't happen.
Maybe last year's Alabama team, but I don't know.
But they probably had a game where they didn't play really well. I mean,
I'm sure that there was a week where it wasn't exactly perfect, but no, I hear you. Listen, Tennessee is a better team than they've been in the past. And I really didn't have any fear that Tennessee was going to challenge Florida to win the game in the second half, even though they went ahead in the second quarter. Didn't really matter. I mean, nobody in that building felt like Florida wasn't going to be able to move the football. Not that I could feel. I mean, it seemed like to me that as hard as Tennessee tried, it just wasn't going to ever be enough. And Florida really Emory just kind of settled in. And again, with Davis and Pierce running the football, they just seem so it just seems getting 10 yards is very easy for Florida. It really does. And that's what we all want here, right? I mean, that's what you're going to have going into this pretty tough stretch. We've got 2 out of the next 3 games are on the road, and then you've got the Georgia Bulldogs at the end of October. And you have to win these 3 for that game to matter, because Georgia ain't losing between now and then.
No. I'm getting hammered here about my Texas A&M Aggies. Let me tell you this.
Are you now a believer in the Hogs? Come on.
No,
baby.
I'm not a believer in the Hogs. I'm a believer that A&M ain't very good.
So let's do this, QB. I
think, hang on a second. I think Jimbo's a good coach, but look, here's what I will say. Their quarterback plays horrible. The backup quarterback's horrible. And I feel terrible for the 3 most skilled players in the SEC that are not being utilized. It is unbelievable. But no, they're going to lose. I don't know. They're going to get blown out by Alabama. they're going to get beat by Ole Miss, and they may get beat by LSU now.
QB, it really did confuse me why Jimbo didn't run the football with Spiller and those guys more. And listen, look, you don't have to believe in Arkansas, and that's fine. But everybody else in the free world does. And the reason why Arkansas is so impressive is because you have to remember where they've come from. They were the laughingstock of this conference not that long ago, and they have physically whipped both teams from Texas. And speaking of Texas, while I diverse for a minute, I'm telling you right now on this show, right now, the Texas Longhorns won't just beat Oklahoma with Casey Thompson at quarterback. They will rout Oklahoma at the Red River rivalry.
Okay, so how many points are you going to give me?
No, how about we just do this? You're going to end up actually having to give me points because OU is going to be favored, but I'll take them straight up for lunch.
Okay.
Texas beats Oklahoma, and it won't be close, folks. Now, as far as Arkansas goes, and the reason why for that is Casey Thompson at quarterback, who is the better quarterback, and Sark has figured it out. He can drop plays as good as anybody in the country. To me, it's Sarkisian, it's Kiffin, it's Dan Mullen. Those are the three best schemers in the game. And he will dice, and so is Lincoln Riley, but he doesn't have the horses he had before. Their defense isn't that great, and Texas is going to carve them up. But back to Arkansas. Yes, they play Georgia this week. Yes, they play Ole Miss the week after. They could lose those two. But for where they are right now, if you had to list a rank of SEC teams from 1 to 14, you would have to put Arkansas right there at number – well, let's just do it. Give me your top 5 right now in the SEC. Let's hear it. Go ahead.
Well, obviously, it's Alabama and Georgia. Mm-hmm. Florida would be up there.
Well, where would they be? 3?
Ole Miss.
Would you put them ahead of Arkansas, Florida?
Yes. Dude.
Well, their resume isn't as good, QB. Their resume is not as good as Arkansas.
No. What? Listen,
their resume isn't as good as Arkansas.
I love Sam Pittman. But here's the thing, JC. Arkansas is a tremendous story. But
it is.
Texas, I think, is not a very good football team. My eyes tell me they're not very good.
Well, you haven't seen Casey Thompson play.
I watched them play. Who have they beaten?
Saw that guy hunt. Listen, you're just going to have to watch Casey Thompson. The way they run offense right now, what he has done as quarterback is elevate the rest of the team. They will be.
But they played a horrible Texas Tech team, okay? You can't look at that.
We both picked Texas Tech.
Because they were getting like 12 points. I mean,
they were getting 9.
Saying they're going to win the damn game.
Well,
I'm just telling you.
And we thought it was going to be close.
I don't think Arkansas is as good as – I think it's a great story. I think they'll end up 3rd or 4th in the SEC West. They're going to get blasted by Georgia.
So what? Big deal. It's at Athens, and Arkansas is 4-0, bro. They're 4-0.
I know, but they're going to get blasted this week.
Yeah, I think they are 8th in the country in the AP poll, QB. They are 8th. And the fact of the matter is that what they've done has been more impressive than most of the other teams in this league, just simply by beating these two teams that were favored by a lot of points against them. They physically manhandle. They can run the ball. Jefferson's not playing badly. I don't know why you don't like him. I don't understand that.
No, here's why I don't like them is because, like I told you, I think they're a good football team, but they have not played anybody worth a crap. Neither
has Texas A&M, really.
That's why they're not very good. A&M is not very good.
I thought they were going to be good.
I kept thinking it was because of their quarterback, but it's not their quarterback. I mean, the quarterback plays horrible. But like I told you, Jimbo's wasting 3 superstars for whatever reason. And look, like I said, I love Sam Pittman. I love the story. I just think they get blasted this week because, to me, they don't have enough talent on that entire team, and they've played way above their talent. And I don't know. I could be wrong. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong, and I was dead wrong about Texas A&M. But I ain't all over Arkansas like everybody else.
Look, listen, this weekend is going to have some really exciting football games, including, when you think about it, you start at noon with Arkansas and Georgia, and you may not think that's going to be fun to watch. I happen to think it will be, and I think the Hogs will hang with them for a little bit. And then it's followed by Alabama, Mississippi. I'm not so sure Mississippi really needed that week off this past weekend. I think they probably would have preferred to play, but they didn't, so they had the week off. And then you've got Florida and Kentucky at night. So Saturday is going to be an all-dayer. And
we got a text here on the Titan our text line. It comes from Gary. Gary wants to know, is Lingard and Bowman thinking about the transfer portal since not getting playing time? I don't know what they're thinking, but obviously they're not as they either don't know the system or not as talented as the guys that are playing.
But why should we assume that anybody after 4 games should be considering transferring, unless, of course, it's that quarterback from who was it last week that decided to quit the team? Charlie. I'll come up with it. Charlie Brewer, yeah,
who was
from
at Baylor
USC.
and transferred to Utah.
USC.
He got benched,
now
and he's already in the portal.
Utah. I'm sorry. Yeah, Utah. Well, see, that's just not. That's to me, that's kind of a sad thing. I think these kids need to stay with it. Stay with it. Depth is a very important matter. If you care about being on a team, that team has to have depth to get through an SEC schedule. And I'm thinking right now, if we have chaos in this league, it is absolutely almost a guarantee we're going to have 2 teams in the college football playoff, the Final Four. I almost think it's going to be a guarantee anyway. So at least 2, right? 2. So you've got to have depth on your roster if you're going to survive this league, man. It's just it's crazy. I mean, look at what A&M or Arkansas had going into this past weekend. They have Texas A&M, they had Georgia, and they have Mississippi, and Alabama's right down the road. That is hard, bro. That nobody in the country can look at their schedule. Well, they won the A&M game, and so you don't like them, but I
love them, but I just don't think they're as good a team as people think they are.
Oh, and here's another thing. Go ahead.
John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law. While I agree with Shane on the fans booing, I want to point out that OU booed Rattler, Auburn fans booed Bo Nix, so it just isn't Florida fans. I never said it was just Florida fans. I just think anybody that boos a college athlete needs to turn their tickets in and never go back. It's that simple.
I think Auburn got the benefit of a very controversial officiating call, too, to help them beat Georgia State. Listen, Auburn, Georgia State had them beat. It was over for Auburn. They got bailed out by that reserve quarterback who's going to go to LSU, and LSU is going to beat them. So Auburn is somewhat disappointing right now. I think that Penn State loss really took it out of them. I don't know. You should never be in a game into the 4th quarter late against Georgia State if you're a serious SEC contender. And while we're on SEC teams, QB, Vanderbilt University should absolutely be booted out of the league. They have no business collecting $90 billion while the rest of the league is going to share that revenue in the next television contract. They don't care. They don't even try. 4 first downs, 77 total yards against Georgia. It wasn't like they were playing the Atlanta Falcons. It's ridiculous that this school collects all this TV money. I don't know what they're doing with it. Are they putting it into football at all? Do you know about this? Because this is so pathetic that they have no business sharing the same amount of revenue as, say, the University of Florida or Arkansas or Georgia or anybody who's trying. And don't give me this academic crap. Northwestern is academic. Duke is academic. Michigan is academic. North Carolina is very academic. Southern Cal, at least they try. At least they try. Vanderbilt doesn't even put forth an effort. They should be kicked out of the SEC before this next contract.
They did put forth an effort. They went and hired a new coach.
Clark Lee, best job in America. I just know that they don't even put their own fans in the stadium. It was a home game for Georgia in Nashville. That should concern Greg Sankey. That should concern the SEC. Yes, they can play baseball. Nobody cares. Yes, they can sometimes shoot the basketball, but really they can't because Stackhouse is a lousy coach. They are a failure at this level, and there are FCS teams. There are teams in the group of 5 that at least try harder and could do so much more with that $80 to $90 million that they're going to get in the next TV contract. Vanderbilt's got to go, bro. They are a joke, and they don't even compete.
So I heard, and I don't know if this is a fact, and I'm sure somebody, maybe you know, JC, but maybe somebody else. I heard it was the first time in the history of college football they had a running clock in a game.
I mean, it was like, I didn't hear that.
I'm dead serious.
I don't know, and I'm glad they did. If they did, it was like watching it's like a Pop Warner game that your 12-year-old's playing in up there at Santa Fe in Alachua somewhere at Santa Fe High School. It's just an embarrassment to the league. They got to go. They have got to go. send them to some other conference, group of five, big AAC. Vanderbilt is a joke. There was one year they really competed and were a better program than many in this league, and that's when James Franklin brought his team down here, and they boat raced the Gators, and they won a bunch of games. That's the only time I can ever remember Vanderbilt really competing. They are awful. Get them out of the SEC.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to know if they had.
It's embarrassing.
I was told they were.
Well, you want to know about the running clock. I want to know what they're doing with all the TV money because it's not going to the football program. If it is,
well, they are trying to build new facilities. I do know that they haven't had good facilities.
Well, then maybe they are.
Their facilities about like ours. At least they're building one. Turn your car, truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. This September, mention promo code Shane, receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with JC of the Titan MR Hotline, we'll be joined by Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com and talk a little bit more about the Gator game. All right, so looking around the country, Clemson. Yeah. They lost the game. Oh yeah, your beloved Tigers. You got a hat on.
Hey, your beloved Tigers went down. You and Coop's beloved Tigers went down, and they raced the field in Raleigh. So that's another one of your favorites that lost this weekend. So I don't know. I think Clemson is kind of it stuns me how inept they are on offense. I never saw that coming, QB.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially with the DJ kid. I mean, I haven't watched Clemson play one game this year.
Can't believe it.
They are.
You watched the Georgia? Didn't you watch any of that Georgia game?
Well, a little bit of it because we were playing that night. Remember?
That's right. Yeah, FAU.
So I was at the game, so I just got to see bits and pieces of it. Mississippi State. They should have never lost that game to LSU. I don't understand Mike Leach. They could have handed the ball off every time LSU was in a three-man line, and they gained 5 yards every time they handed the ball.
Time. I mean, I'm almost starting to wonder if Mike Leach is just on a permanent retirement plan, and these schools are just paying it off for him because I don't know what the hell he's doing. They had a personal foul on a 4th and 15 when the rusher of a punt jumped over the line of scrimmage. You know, if these kids are coached correctly, they should be told that you can't do that. Otherwise, it's a personal foul. And that gave LSU a first down. 3 plays later, LSU scores to go up by 18. You take away plays like that, and State has a chance to win because they did try to come back. They just ran out of time. But you can't lose those kinds of games. And then, of course, the Memphis debacle. I don't know about Mississippi State. It's like I said, I don't have confidence in them like I used to, and I'm not sure about Mike Leach. I'm not really sure. I think the luster is off his shine a little bit. I'm really not that impressed. Back
to the ACC. I mean, basically the ACC is done. There's not one team that can get into the college football playoff.
No,
not one.
Toast. They're toast. They're toast. They're absolutely toast.
I mean, how North Carolina, who was ranked like preseason, like number 7 in America, has now lost twice. And they lost to a bad – I mean, they got blown out by Georgia Tech.
I mean, that's a bad loss. That's as bad as it gets. And, you know, Oregon tried to pull a Pac-12, game out with Arizona. They were in the 4th quarter with Arizona. The Oregon Ducks. Pac-12's going to decapitate itself, too.
John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. He says – JC has already hopped on the NC State bandwagon. That didn't take long.
Listen, I loved NC State with what they did in baseball. I bought this hat because I thought they got screwed in the College World Series, and I love seeing them beat Shane's beloved Clemson Tigers. So,
my beloved Tigers, I love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You love.
Okay, them. So JC, let's jump our picks.
QB.
We are tied now on the year. We are tied at 26 and 27. I went 8-5. You went 7-6.
Sure did.
So I made a huge comeback.
You did. You had the Dolphins yesterday, who stole one, backdoored the Raiders, so that was good for you. Oklahoma State, no problem with Kansas State. That was good for you. The Rams looked great. By the way, did you watch Matthew Stafford yesterday? Did you watch the Rams score on 4 drives?
I've been telling you about him since he came out of the University of Georgia.
Yeah, 4 drives of 75 yards or more against the Buccaneers defense. Now, granted, their secondary's been banged up a little bit, and they certainly didn't have JPP in the game, but still, the Rams they are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. There's no question. Next week, Brady goes to New England. That'll be interesting on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I think I picked – who did I pick the Super Bowl? Rams, Bills, right?
You did. And right now, if after week 3 is any indication of how the rest of the season is going to go, and it's a long one, that looks very, very good. I like Cleveland. I tell you what, I like the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, watch out for the Cleveland Browns.
Speaking of the Cleveland Browns,
Myles Garrett, 4.5 sacks yesterday.
Yeah. Woo. So I'm sure somebody on here, nobody's told me if they actually had a running clock yet. I still want our research department to look that up. But the National Football League yesterday, my old team, the Chicago Bears, had a total of 47 yards of offense in an entire football game. That has to be a record. Well, it has to be.
Yeah. And I mean, you have to border on being bipolar if you're a Bears fan. I mean, the fact that they passed on Patrick Mahomes for that kid from North Carolina who's no longer.
Well, you can't worry about it now. Anymore. They got Justin
Fields. I know, but
it
just shows you how bad these decisions Matt Nagy makes. And everybody wants Justin Fields, but folks, you're gonna have to be patient with these rookies. Look at Zach Wilson right now. He can't figure out anything, but he's a good quarterback. We know this. Tua. He's always been hurt. We always knew that too. I just think Trevor yesterday just made some big mistakes in the Jaguars game. That Detroit game was a big fiasco with Justin Tucker hitting a 66-yarder. It's an NFL record. He should never have had the chance to kick it because the Ravens should have been penalized for 5 yards on a delay of game that wasn't called on the play before the kick. That would have taken him out of the field goal possibility. But, that's the NFL. That's officiating. That's the way it goes. But man, it's just amazing. Some of these rookies are struggling, and right now I'd have to say that the one who's doing probably the best would be it's just right at the tip of my tongue. Mac Jones in New England, but he had a hard day yesterday. He really did.
No, if you watch the highlights, two of his interceptions were not his fault.
That's right. A couple balls went through the wide receiver's hands. Absolutely right about that. But, man, the Dolphins struggled. I mean, not the Dolphins. The Patriots struggled yesterday with New Orleans defense. Saints get a home game in the Superdome for the first time since Ida went through. So I'm sure those folks are going to enjoy seeing that team play and blow out the Giants next week.
So Joe does say right here on Facebook Live, the fourth quarter, both teams agreed to a running clock. That's the damnest thing I ever heard in college football.
I'm telling you, if you're Greg Sankey at the board meeting tomorrow, or at the sales meeting, or whatever they do, he's got to get on the phone and say, Vanderbilt, you guys got to pick this up. We're about to sign a $1.3 billion contract. Why does Vandy get as much money as Arkansas or as Mississippi? Or as South Carolina, who is trying at least. Vandy doesn't even try. It's an embarrassment to the league. I can't stand it. I think they should be kicked out.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, too. Who do you think is going to be the SC? Got blown out at home by Oregon State.
It's true. And then you look at the Ducks. They were in a fourth quarter game with the Arizona Wildcats. I mean,
who's going to be the next head coach?
At Southern Cal, you've got Kiffin. I'm sticking with I think if Cincinnati runs the table, beats Notre Dame, Luke Fickell's going to get in the conversation.
Well, was it you telling me or somebody else that the is it the athletic director or the president's from Cincinnati?
The athletic director hired Luke Fickell. Yeah. I mean, the athletic director at Southern Cal is the guy who hired Luke Fickell. That I know. And so I think he's going to get a call. And listen, Cincinnati, God bless them. But if you look at their schedule, they have no chance for the Final Four, I don't think, unless there's complete chaos. The only game they have that will get people's attention is Notre Dame. After that, they play woeful opponents. That's not going to help them, but it's not their fault, right? It's not. And hopefully they'll beat Notre Dame and really create a stir. But Luke Fickell's done a great job at Cincinnati, man. That's a physical team. I'm impressed with Cincinnati.
Yeah, which I don't think he's a good fit at SC, though.
Because of the offense or defense?
No, just because, look, I mean, it's a no-brainer, in my opinion. You just said it. There's a new president out there. There's a new head coach. Lane got fired because he wasn't winning games. Okay, look what he's done since then. He's matured a little bit more.
He also got punched in the face by a guy who thought he was sleeping with his wife. Okay, so I mean, there's a lot more to it in the internals of Southern Cal.
Right. Okay, so Ole Miss doesn't care about that, obviously.
Right. No, they don't because it has nothing to do with them.
Right. So I mean, but big deal. SC.
Okay.
They got a whole new management.
Listen, I don't think it'd be a bad idea. Look, Lane Kiffin resuscitated his career when he went to Alabama. and he has now become one of the hot names in college football. There's no question. Matt Corral, Bryce Young are 2 Heisman Trophy candidates that will be on the same field Saturday in Tuscaloosa in the CBS game of the week. It's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a real fist fight, and that game's going to be fantastic. I'm telling you, Saturday is set up for some great TV.
Yeah, Saturday's a lot of good football games.
And the week after.
And here's what could happen. Lane could go to SC. Matt Corral, who's from California, can go play for him.
Transfer over there. So Matt's got 2 more years of eligibility. Is that right? I think he does because he's a redshirt junior, I think. So I know last year didn't count against him, and I don't think this is his last year of eligibility. So, I mean, that all could happen. That would be quite a story because that Matt Corral seems like an LA kind of guy, doesn't he?
Well, he's from there.
Flashy. Okay, well, if that's the case, then
that's why I just told you he's a California kid.
You did say that. Okay.
I don't know if he's from LA, but he's from California is all I know.
Right.
Okay, JC, before we let you go, I want to get your thoughts on the Ryder Cup. It wasn't a whole lot of drama. It was just a beatdown.
Well, 19-9, the biggest margin of victory, 10 points since 1975 in this Ryder Cup. Dustin Johnson, 5-0. You know, everybody got along. DeChambeau, Koepka. DeChambeau was 2-0-1, had a great Ryder Cup. Everybody played well. Scotty Scheffler beating up on people, beating Jon Rahm, the world #1. My thoughts is that Steve Stricker did a great job coaching. His captain's picks were fantastic. I think he did the right thing with the matchups. And truthfully, QB, I didn't watch hardly any of it because it didn't seem that compelling to me because of such a blowout nature of it all. I think the spectacle of the Ryder Cup was great, but it was a blowout. I
did watch a lot of it just because I think it's so interesting that at the Ryder Cup, the European, they had, especially on the first tee, the little European not student section, but their little fan section of about 15.
Okay.
They let them heckle guys when they're teeing off. Why don't they let them heckle them in a regular tournament?
Well, that's a great question. But you know what it does? I could see 10 guys, or 13 guys, or however many there were on that USA squad really come together. And the team aspect of golf, it rarely happens, but it really came together for the U.S. And it typically happens for the Euros. And it did this time for the domestics. And the U.S. rolled and blew them out. And I don't see why it would be any different in 2 years. Now, I thought Europe would put up a better fight because of the layout of the course, where it was and so forth, near the water, the wind, and all this crap. It didn't matter. It just didn't matter.
Well, I don't know if people saw, because a lot of our people probably don't watch golf, but the best line of the year came from the Ryder Cup TV coverage. Paul Azinger, who was on the broadcast, who is a Florida State grad, played golf there. When Koepka and Daniel Berger were paired together on Friday in the 4-ball, which are both Florida State Seminole golfers. Mm-hmm. They just destroyed whoever they played. And Azinger goes, the first win for Florida State this year. It was awesome.
They got one coming. They're going to beat UMass if they show up. There will be 20,000 people in the stadium, and they'll go 1-11. Congratulations, guys.
Speaking of, I'm curious what their attendance was, but I saw an overhead shot, JC. Miami set all kinds of records this week against Central Connecticut or whoever they play.
Oh, my God. Central Connecticut State. Yeah.
I kid you not. No. There wasn't 300 people in Hard Rock Stadium.
It's so tragic, isn't it? And really, that's a function of where they are. And those folks down there got better things to do than watch a lousy college football team. They said there was 50,000 fans in Tallahassee. I would guess under is more. That's what it says on the app here. I would guess the under was much more. Is the way to look at that. And for the Miami game, the app says there were 44,000 fans.
No, there wasn't 400.
They are talking about tickets sold here. There's just no chance that and I can't even imagine 44,000 tickets were sold. It's not true. So, whatever.
So let's right now. Let's do an over under on the attendance for Florida State Miami when they play each other.
It's in Tallahassee. Is that right?
If it's in Tallahassee, there'll be more people than if it's in Miami.
Will be. There absolutely. I would say 20. I want to say 29,000. No. I'd say there'd be 39,000 fans.
I bet about 45 for that game because people just want to go drink and Have a good time.
Yeah, it's something to do, and it's in Tallahassee. Why not just make fun of Miami fans, and they'll make fun of SU fans. And those two schools have hit hard times, QB, hard times. And right now, Florida with Emory Jones and a capable backup and an offense that just can run and run and run the football. These next 3 weeks set you up for Georgia. You win them all, and it all comes down to the cocktail party, baby. Because I don't care.
I mean, we got to take care of business this week. We don't ever play well when we go to Lexington.
And you got to take care of business in Baton Rouge in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So,
we got to worry about one game at a time, JC. Coach speak. 1 game at a time.
I got it.
I'm surprised Kentucky's not ranked. I know they didn't play well against Chattanooga. They swept South Carolina, but they're 4-0, right?
They are 4-0. I think Will Levis, his numbers have come down pretty dramatically here in the last few weeks. I don't know why, but they play a physical style of defense that Florida will have to match up with, and I think will, because Florida can be physical on offense, running the football. That's how they do it. And so this is going to be a really interesting game to watch. I'm looking forward to it. It's a Saturday night game after the Alabama Ole Miss game. My goodness, what a day we've got in store.
What a day. All right, JC.
Yep.
We'll talk to you on Wednesday. We're going to talk a little Gator football here with our man Scott Carter. We're going to take our first time out. We come back, we'll be joined by Florida Gators senior writer, FloridaGators.com, Scott Carter. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Aikido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Visor's Tailgate and Rooftop Bar, located on top of Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point, is now open Thursday through Saturday. Visor's covered open-air bar is the perfect place to gather after work or meet up with friends. You'll love the handcrafted cocktails and elevated shareables available every Thursday through Saturday. Visor's Tailgate and Rooftop Bar is perfect for fans of great food, great drinks, and great weather. Visors not required. High spirits are highly encouraged. Visit spurriers.com/visors.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point's where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, Bass Pro Shops, Regal Cinemas, Le Macaron French Pastries, Dave & Buster's, Palmetto Moon, and now open the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Make your reservations today at spurriersgridirongrill.com. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to the Titan MR Hotline. We're going to be joined by senior writer for FloridaGators.com, Mr. Scott Carter. Good morning, Scott. How are you, bud?
Hey, good morning, Shane. Feels a little bit like fall in the air today and going on the road to Kentucky this week. So getting deeper into the season, man.
Pack a sweater. It'll be chilly up in Lexington, I'm sure.
Right.
Scott, looking back at the game, you know, it's amazing to me. I was telling JC, I usually wake up, you know, after a long day of watching ball on Saturday, long night. I usually get on Twitter and just look at some of the comments fans make. And, you know, people talk about how this team's gone backwards since Alabama. Look, every game is different. Just give me your thoughts on just just watching the entire game. Gators, I felt like they dominated the whole game. You know, Tennessee hit a couple big plays, but just your thoughts on the win over Tennessee.
Yeah, I think similar to yours. I mean, if not for those two big plays that Tennessee did have, you know, the screen and then the one, the 75-yarder. I mean, Florida did pretty much dominate the game. it was they got behind 14-10, but I thought they quickly reestablished themselves, and then the second half took control. So I don't really understand if you're looking at them. They took a step back. They lost the Alabama game. Remember, they won this one. So I look at it as a step forward. All right, I think what everybody wants is the perfect game, and I think that's just fans in every sport. Everything's analyzed, and there are no perfect games because every time you play a game, the other team is also trying to do things. So I think that gets lost in the shuffle sometimes, Shane. But I understand the passion. I just think the Gators, the thing that really struck me the most is Emory Jones continues to establish himself, assert himself in that position. And, I was thinking really, it's his fourth career start, Shane. This guy is not exactly Mr. Veteran, even though he's been around. He's seeing new things every game, and he's starting to really respond, I think, in a way that Dan Mullen and his staff likes. And I like the way that he's shown resiliency since you got to remember back in the early first half of that Alabama game, the fans were booing there that one drive. And, the way he's bounced back from that and have really taken control, I got to give a hat tip to Emory on that one, man.
I agree. I think he's played extremely well, whether it's just knowing that Anthony wasn't going to come in a series or two or what, but he's played very, very well. Let me ask you this about him. He's run the ball really well, but he's also taking a pounding, and I don't think he's the kind of guy. I don't think either one of these guys are the kind of guys that are going to try to get down and protect themselves or maybe run out of bounds. But after the game, did he look banged up at all? Because I felt like, and what I'm saying is he got driven into the ground on his shoulders a couple of times, and that concerns me.
Yeah, there was nothing I'm aware of, Shane. I thought one of his strengths has been he is elusive in the run game. And Dan said the other night, 15 carries is probably a little much, but most of those, there weren't that many design runs. A lot of those were him improvising and just letting his athletic ability take over. And I do think, he has a tendency to spin a lot when he runs. And, I could see that being an issue, taking a hit or a turnover. It hasn't really been yet in terms of turnover, but he's got to probably, that's part of the growing process of that position, Shane. He's got to learn to be smart and to avoid the hits when you can, because you're going to get hit enough when you can't help it. So, 9 yards and getting down is probably better in some cases than 12 yards and getting beat up if you've already got a first down. So that's just the process of being a young guy. But he's also a playmaker mentality. That's what he's been doing his whole career. I'm sure he shredded defenses with his running in high school. Although I think he said the other night after the game, he could never remember running for 144 yards. So we did see a little something there, but a good point. But yeah, nothing as like I said that I'm aware of. But I'm sure that's going to be a message. Hey, Emory, when you can avoid taking a hit, avoid it, please.
Yeah. We got a Facebook Live question here for you, Scott, brought to you by Meldon Law. It comes from John. He wants to know, how is our center Kingsley? He got banged up a couple of times, but kept playing, right?
Yeah, he kept playing. Whatever it was, I don't think it's serious. I'm sure Mullen will give us kind of his, update on him after the game. There was nothing of serious nature on him. You saw that with Gene DeLance the previous two games. He got hurt and went out and came back. Stuart Reese has done that. So, they are getting a little banged up there, and they played so well. That's part of that position group. Those guys, I think after the first half of the first game, Shane, I don't know if any of those guys for the rest of the season are 100%. That's just the nature of the beast up front. You're taking a beat in every game. But as far as Kingsley, who's really, I think, a value. If they were to lose him for any serious time, I think that would hurt, because he's a physical guy up there, is really taking ownership of that center spot. And, he's a good communicator. I think he's been impressive for a guy as a first-year starter and what he's done so far through 4 games.
We got a text on the Titan More text line from our good friend Daryl. He says, good morning, guys. Listening to Sports Talk out of Knoxville this morning. There's a lot of its and buts out of the Vol fans and the show host. Shane, has the mobile tickets working? Has the have the mobile tickets been working out for you? I haven't heard any problems. Some people had no problems. I didn't have any problems for Alabama, and I used my media deal for the Tennessee game. But I think it was a mess for Alabama. I don't know if it got any better for Tennessee. Have you heard anything about that, Scott?
I mean, there was some communication with fans last week. Even Scott Strickland himself, went on Twitter and said the key there is making sure you download those mobile tickets to your Apple Wallet before the game. Don't do it while you're in line. I think that held up some things. So I think it's just a learning curve for everybody that has caused a couple of, I guess, speed bumps here. But I haven't heard any kind of massive report after this game, like, Alabama. I would get some tweets. You probably did too. Just people kind of complaining. So hopefully that gets smoother as we go deeper into the season.
Scott, I don't have it in front of me. I read it, and you may not have it in front of you, but statistically, what this offense has done under Dan Mullen is it consecutive 400-yard games? I can't remember what the stat or record that they've set. What is it?
It's 14 consecutive 400-yard games at 11 in a row in the SEC. The SEC streak is a school record, and the 14, I'm sure, probably is a school record. It goes back to 1975 in their research right now. So unless one of those teams in the 60s rolled up that many yards in a row, which I seriously doubt it. So I think that's good. That's a school record too. And that goes back to Mullen. I think of those 14 games, Shane, I think half of them were close to being 500-yard games because they went over 500 yards again on Saturday night against Tennessee, 505, 283 on the ground. That's why Dan Mullen was brought to Florida to recharge that offense. I remember when in his opening press conference, he said something about, trying to, Florida fans love that fun and gun that you and Spurrier and Wuerffel and those guys played in, and they missed that. He was going to try to bring some of that excitement back, and I think he's done that offensively. It looks different maybe than what we've seen before, but I think it's just going to look different under Dan every year. I mean, that's just how he operates. But the guy is no doubt a excellent play caller and offensive coach on game day. I think that's clearly his strength, and it just shows week in and week out with the numbers the Gators are putting up.
Yeah, I agree. He schemes up very well. He loves this unbalanced four receivers to one side, none to the other. And we continue running it, and teams have trouble lining up to that formation. And he's got all kinds of good stuff off of it. So I'm curious to see if he continues running that as the season progresses. Before we switch over to the defense, obviously we've had a bunch of questions, and you heard Coach Mullen say they feel like Anthony Richardson will be 100% this week. Do you think we see him at Kentucky?
I think if he's 100%, yeah, I think you'll see him. I think you're going to see him in every game if he's 100%. But I think Mullen will be very selective when to use him with Emory. I mean, you know how this works, Shane. I mean, you got a quarterback who's, first couple of games, a lot of questions. Now he's got some confidence rolling. The last thing you want to do is hurt his confidence, especially when he's playing well. So, if they're winning big, get some Anthony some playing time. I think if it's a close game and Emory's doing okay, I mean, I see him being the guy. I just think Mullen's he's good at knowing when to push that button. I think if he's 100%, you'll see him. He's such a tool to have. I mean, you want him out there on the field. I mean, he's too good just to leave on the field for a whole game if he's healthy.
Yeah, good point. So looking at the defense, obviously, fans were upset over the two big plays where they scored on. I thought defensively we played pretty well for the most part. When a team with the pace of play that they play at, they can cause confusion. But I thought we were lined up properly for the most part. The screen, look, give the other team credit. Great play call, great execution on their part. The deep throw that went to the north end zone on our sideline, I can't remember the kid's name, 32.
Mordecai McDaniel.
Yeah, McDaniel. He was playing safety over there. And with that formation, I guarantee you his film study, they saw wide receiver screen.
Yeah.
And the number one receiver came off and blocked, and then that guy just ran basically like a little stutter and go, and he was flat-footed and got burnt. It happens. But other than that, I thought we played real well.
Yeah, I mean, those two scoring plays you just mentioned, they accounted for 118 yards of Tennessee's total offense. And I don't know, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if you take those away, it's a really good defensive performance. But again, I mean, you got to at times credit Tennessee on both of those play calls, like you just said. I think Mullen at halftime, it's still a pretty close game. I mean, they certainly weren't happy being down 14-10. I don't think they expected that, but at the same time, Josh Heupel is a very good coach, and he's a very good offensive coach. And Mullen said after the game that, to his credit, Tennessee, it looks like a lot different team than they played the last couple of years. A lot more urgency, a lot more efficiency in offense. I think they got some defensive issues, as you can tell. But the Gators overall, I thought, after Mullen challenged them at halftime, I thought they came out and played a solid second half, didn't give up any points. It's still a unit in transition, some with the injuries they've had. I mean, luckily, Kaiir Elam's not in there. To me, that's your top NFL prospect right there. So anytime you have him off the field, that's going to hurt you. I thought Jason Marshall, Jadarius Perkins, we saw Elijah Blades get in there. I thought for the most part they held their own because they didn't get their names called too much in getting beat. But they expect Elam back against Kentucky. And, the defense to me, Shane, a couple of things stand out so far early in the season. I mean, I think the defensive line is certainly its strength. I see that unit playing really well right now. And then Mahmoud Diabate, he's becoming a leader on that side of the ball. I like this guy's attitude. He's starting to show up on the stat sheet every day, and he's taking ownership as one of those guys that really have to become a leader with Ventrell Miller out now. And I like what I've seen from him. And, it's just a unit that they're going to have to continue to grow to get to where this Florida team wants to by the end of the season.
Yeah, we expect Elam. We got a bunch of Facebook Lives here. We expect him to be back for Kentucky. But you're right, Scott. I tell you, thank goodness for the transfer portal. Because those three dudes from Auburn, the two dudes from Auburn and Penn State have been really, really solid this year.
They've taken care of that interior, and that just allows Carter and Cox and Moon and those other guys who are the playmakers to do their thing and to get to the ball. And it's so important, and that's something that you can tell that's probably the biggest improvement on the team so far from last year. I mean, that interior defensive line play. They don't always show up on the stat sheet, although Valentino had a nice takedown the other night. But they're making plays, and more importantly, they're forcing action to Florida's playmakers, and that's really their job.
At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. A few more minutes here with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. All right, Scott, looking forward to this Kentucky game. We've talked about it all summer long, how everybody was giving Kentucky all this love. They're undefeated. Yep. They squeaked out a win against South Carolina. Didn't play real well, but beat Chattanooga 2 weeks ago. We never play well up there for whatever reason. How do you see this game playing out? I think Florida's going to be favored, obviously. I think we're a better football team. But in my opinion, we got to survive or dictate the first quarter. Mm-hmm. We have to play well first quarter, take the crowd out of it.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky's such a different place to play under Stoops. I mean, they've done a great job with their game day atmosphere. They've revamped that stadium. It's really it's a tougher place to play than it's ever been. And you're right, historically, the Gators have had some struggles up there. They usually have to eke them out and do something late. And I can see that again. I mean, this is a Kentucky team that's 4-0. They're not ranked in the AP, but the coaches, I think, have them at 23. So they've got a lot to play for. They're going to be fired up for this game. It's a huge game for them. And I think you're right. The Gators need to dictate some action, kind of like they came out, obviously, against Tennessee, that first drive, go down and score. They need something like that just to boost the confidence, to kind of whatever they can do to quieten the crowd and put a damper on the festivities up there, because you give a team like Kentucky some early momentum, and that makes your night a lot harder. And, this is a Florida team that, so far, other than Alabama, they did come back from that early deficit, but they were home. You get behind 21-3 on the road or something like that, it's a whole different story. And that they won't even to entertain that story, Shane. So I think everything you said spot on. They got to come out early and dictate the action. And getting Elam back, let's say Richardson's back, he's going to provide some kind of option there. Having Emory just do what Emory's been doing. I think the defense, though, this is a game that you want them to be at their best because, keeping the Kentucky's offense quiet and off the field as much as you can is going to help your chances.
Yeah. Last thing for you, we got a text here from Jim on the Titan MR text line. He says, "Hey, Scott, do we have a 3-man quarterback controversy now with Trent Whittemore throwing a touchdown?"
Hey, you know what? He looked good on that throw, man. That's a great play. I thought that was just a perfect time to call that play. And Trent, I was watching the replay of it. I mean, not only did he make a nice play, he had to show a little touch there because that was a kind of dropping it in back of the end zone there. That wasn't an easy throw where you just use your arm strength to power it in there. I mean, he had to show some touch, but we all know Trent's a great athlete. Guy can good receiver, good quarterback, good basketball player, just kind of a Mr. Do Everything. And those guys, Shane, they're invaluable when you have one of those guys on your team who can play.
No question about it. And we'll have Trent on tomorrow and we'll talk to him. Yeah, he played a little high school quarterback, but as you said, I've said he's maybe the best athlete on the football team. And I didn't say athletic. Okay. So I don't want all these people tweeting me. There's a difference between being a great athlete and being athletic. Yeah. An athlete who's one who can do everything well. An athletic person is one who can jump high, run fast, things of that nature. So anyway, Scott, good stuff as always, my man. We'll talk to you next week, hopefully after another win.
All right, Shane, take it easy. Have a good week, bud.
Yep, that's Scott Carter. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. We're going to take our final time out of this Monday edition. Come back and wrap it up.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at Center State Bank. It's now South State Bank, but they still put business first. They understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State still has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. This day in sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. $1,000 signing bonus, folks. Give them a call. It's 352-376-2366. In 2000, the United States baseball team, managed by Tommy Lasorda, wins Olympic gold in Sydney, Australia. That's brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Make sure tomorrow you tune in. We'll have Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show. We'll also have Gator wide receiver Trent Whittemore join us. Remember, Trent is always taped on Sundays. We had a bunch of people send some Facebook Lives and some tweets and messages for Trent. If you have any, make sure you get them to us before Sunday. Hope you have a great day. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Take care, folks.